You've probably heard or even said that students should practice at least 5 days a week, at least 30 minutes per day. But is that really the ideal? And if so, is it even realistic? In this video, we're going to look at the advice that I give parents and students, adult students, about the length of piano practice and how this has evolved in my own studio over the years. If this is the kind of topic that you love to hear about, let me know by hitting the thumbs up below. Whether you're on the 30-minute minimum camp or you're in the it depends train, stick with me and let's break this all down. So I used to advise that students should practice 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. I have said that to my students at the very beginning of my teaching career. But honestly, I don't think I ever believed they would do it. It was just a thing that I thought I should say. Much like going through the motions of teaching how you were taught, it was just like what I had heard and had never done consistently myself as a student. I'm not saying all teachers are in that camp, but that was true for me. I practiced way more than that at certain stages of my study, but in my beginning years, nowhere close. So telling that to my students always felt a bit like disingenuous, or maybe it even came across as I didn't really believe it. I don't know. But like I say, it was just a thing you should say. Over the years, I've evolved to think of the routine first and then time later. It's all about the routine in the beginning. If they establish a routine, meaning the 5 days a week part, the 30 minutes a day, the 15 minutes a day, the whatever time a day you want them to practice for will come. If you don't establish a routine, it doesn't matter how long it is each time because it doesn't happen consistently. So for me, it's all about routine for at least the first 3 to 4 months of study, possibly the first year with a young student. All I want is for practice to happen 5 days a week, all the time, pretty much, with the odd off week here or there, but pretty much that's the default. They build it so into their family routine that it's just what happens. That's my goal. And if I achieve that, the time comes much more easily. So I never give a practice length requirement to my new students now. And I actually discourage them from having timers or anything like that. I just talk about routine and I focus on building that in and really helping them to hone that routine in the first several months. Next is assignments. Still not actually time. So the assignment step is they've already built a routine and now I want to make sure that they really follow the assignments that I'm giving. Not just what they should practice, but how I've said they should practice it. So I'm always giving age and level appropriate instructions on how to practice something. It could be as simple as 2 times in a beginner student who's 3 years old. It's not always going to be extensive instructions, but at their age and stage, I want them to be following all of the practice instructions that I give to them. Listening to the listening assignments, watching the videos if they have them, and all of that. Again, not focusing on the time, but getting to all of their assignments. Finally, for those that need it or are curious, I give some rough guidelines. And I'll start to bring these up if a student is several years into study and I think that their practice is just not enough time. And that maybe they're rushing through assignments and that's why, or maybe their routine is just at the wrong time of day where they can't fit it in. So at this point, I might give some kind of a guideline. One good rule of thumb is about 3 times the student's age. It's not always going to work exactly in some kind of mathematical equation. You have to judge each student's situation and their level and attention span and all of that. But using that as a rough guideline, I would make a recommendation. But again, this is several years into study. That's the only point where I'd start to say, oh, we should be building up to 30 minutes at this stage or 40 minutes or whatever it is that I feel maybe they're not reaching this time with just the focus on assignments. But for most students, they actually do. If they build a solid routine and they really follow my assignments, then the time they spend will come. It'll naturally increase and that's just what will happen on its own. So why this change of heart? Why did I change to focusing on the habit and the assignments and really putting the time on the back shelf just as a little aside here or there sometimes? Well, for me, it's because it's not about the time spent. You can spend 30 minutes a day learning French 5 days a week for 3 years. And if you have terrible study methods, you won't learn French. But if you have a fantastic teacher and you're working one-on-one with them 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week for 3 years, I think you're going to be pretty good at French. Okay? So it doesn't matter how long they're spending. It matters that that's quality time. This is like the difference between doing freelance work and doing shift work. Sometimes, and take it from someone who's worked in a pizza shop, sometimes you're literally just wiping the same surface and it's completely pointless, but you're just killing time. And I never want my students to feel that way about their practice. If they can get it done, if they can achieve the results that they want and that I want in a shorter time, that's what they should do. I want them to be as efficient as possible with their practice, not fill in some minimum practice requirement. Let me know your thoughts on this below. I'm really curious about your ideas on this topic. I think it's really important and we often don't revisit that standard statement that we come to of 5 days a week, 30 minutes a day. What do you recommend to your students right now? And did you always have that opinion or have you changed over time? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next video.